This is where the theory and everything else slaps you in the face sometimes. Because personally, I would start Lukaku. Because
hold on.
Because
you are certainly not his biggest fan.
No, well, hear me out.
Okay.
Yes, you can see why after 60 minutes you bring Lukaku on. He's got pace and strength and all this, and right.
Has he though?
He's shown it recently. He's shown it recently.
Yeah, back to his best self.
So do you?
I'm not having that.
So do you wait?
He looks overweight.
Do you start Lukaku because if City don't defend well behind the ball, then that's where Inter are going to hurt them. And they'll have the pace of DeMarco on one side and Dumfries and Barella. But I'll tell you what, the pace of Lukaku and what his game's all about. So, if you don't get any opportunities before the hour and you're 2 or 3-0 down, then it's too late. If you have Lukaku starting and you get a goal and you have something to defend, then you bring on Dzeko, then you can hold the ball up so actually you can get out. So, listen, there's all kinds of theories and all kinds of tactics, but personally, I would start Lukaku.
You don't think he's scarier to deal with than Dzeko?
Hold on. Hold on a minute. Are we talking about Lukaku from 5 years ago? I saw him come on against Milan, right? He is not... You're talking about Lukaku's pace. He's lost the bulk of that pace. He's nowhere near as quick as he was. There's not one City defender that Romelu Lukaku is running away from. Certainly not at the start of the game.
I don't know about that.
No.
Well, I'll tell you what we can agree on. I'll tell you what we can agree on.
I'll give you the strength.
I'll tell you what we can agree on. Dzeko ain't running away from him.
No.
Including me and you.
Right. And that's my point. And I think that's what tips the balance for me, is that there's none of those, maybe Lautaro Martinez, Lukaku now is nowhere near back to his best. He still looks a little bit cumbersome and unfit to me. Yeah, when he comes on when players are a little bit tired and the game's, an hour, 70 minutes in. But if he's not going to run away from defenders and Dzeko's not going to run away from defenders, I think Dzeko's a much cleverer footballer. I think he's a more clinical finisher. We saw that and he's playing with confidence. And I've always thought Dzeko would start because if Lukaku was going to be the threat in behind, like he was a few years ago, then fine. But unless I'm watching the wrong Romelu Lukaku, he ain't running away from any of these defenders. He's not.
Dzeko start.
Yeah.
Because you look at the games recently, you look at the cup final, the rest of it, Dzeko started. I'm just saying that what I would do, I would start Lukaku. That's all I'm saying.
Who would you rather come up against, Nedum, as a City defender, Dzeko or Lukaku?
Well, to be honest, they both scored against me in my career, so it's a toss-up, really. It's just punishment either way. But it's two completely different types of players, isn't it? I think if you were tied in the game at 60 minutes and Lukaku's coming on, I don't think you'd be too happy to see that. But then in the same breath, you've got Edin Dzeko, who, has got that City connection. He's a free agent at the end of this month. This is potentially his last game for Inter Milan, so he's going to be doubly motivated as well. And it's a great finisher, right foot, left foot. But yeah, basically, you asked me the question. I'm biased with both. I think they're both fantastic players. And I like Lukaku as a person as well. So I think I have to pass that one over to Gab, I'm afraid.
Yeah, Gab, you've got to weigh in on this topic here.
Well, I think, when we talk about pace and Lukaku, and does he look heavy, is he overweight? He's been in really good form recently. I don't think he necessarily needs to go and scamper away from the defenders. The thing about Lukaku is he's a big, strong man. And if he builds up a head of steam and he makes the right run at the right time, which I think he has certainly, I actually think he's a clever footballer and he certainly can do that, then he becomes a handful. And then, if you're Ruben Diaz or you're a Kanji, maybe you feel like you have to foul him or foul doesn't get called or whatever. He can mix things up physically in a way that Dzeko's not going to do, or Dzeko will do on a set piece or so on. So I think that's the thinking. The Lukaku off the bench role, he's comfortable with it. Obviously, he would rather start. Every footballer would rather start. But what Inzaghi's done, because he's used more substitutions than anybody, and because these are programmed substitutions, players know their jobs. Players need to go, and they have to. If you come on with half an hour to go, then you have to sort of expend 90 minutes of energy in that half hour. And if you start and you're one of the guys who's going to come off, you have to put 90 minutes into those 60 minutes that you're on the pitch. Again, it's not foolproof, but it's a formula that's worked pretty darn well for him this season.